Morning, y'all. Welcome back to the cotton trail. So I've already been outside doing a little bit of work. I've been amending my kiddie pools, and the other day I actually planted some of them in my greenhouse. My plants are not carried out yet. They will be just shortly. And today I thought that I'd take you out with me while I plant some of my aromas. I still have some decisions to make in regards to a couple of my kiddie pools, but that's okay. We'll talk about that. So if we look, they've been beautifully amended. I haven't done this one yet. It's got this lettuce in it, which looks like it's just kind of going to seed. I had not made a decision about that pool as of yet, but I'm thinking that I may pull most of that lettuce out if it's just going to go to seed. It's not going to taste very good. And then I have this one, which has some nice strawberry plants in it. And I have to make a decision about that, but right now we're going to plant the ones that are ready. So if you look, I amended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these pools, and these top 6, so including the strawberry plants, including this one with the strawberry plants. So these front 6 are all going to have Roma tomatoes in it. Roma tomatoes are a determinate variety. They're not going to get huge. They have a certain size that they'll reach, and they'll set fruit, and that'll be just what they are. Now, in kiddie pools, personally, I'm sure someone does it somewhere, but personally, I would not put an indeterminate tomato in these kiddie pools. I mean, if you're only going to do maybe a couple and stake them really well, maybe, but those get so big and have such a root system that I personally wouldn't do it in these kiddie pools. Now, some things to remember if you're going to plant in something like this is you need drainage holes in the bottom. Shirt's a little bit squeezing my neck because of the way I'm sitting, but you're going to need drainage holes. That way it doesn't flood out and wash out all of your soil or destroy your plants. You are going to need a really light soil. Most of the soil in these kiddie pools is coco coir that I got for free from a local strawberry U-Pick strawberry patch that was getting rid of some of their older stuff, and I got the coco coir, and I got some potting mix and some sand, and I filled these up so they're really light and airy and really well draining for my plants. They're not too dense. Now this year I amended these with some garden soil. If I didn't have so much coco coir in here, I would not be comfortable with that at all, but I do have a lot of coco coir, like I said, really light and airy. So I have this garden soil. It's really rich, really black, and going to be very nutritious for my plants. And I got this at the end of the season last year for $2 a bag. It was really inexpensive, so I've just been saving it for this. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm putting 7 in these pools, and then on the trellises I'm probably going to plant cucumbers. But I'll show you what we're doing. So these are my aromas. You can see they're a little bit yellow. They need some nitrogen. They've already been watered. It's really important to water before planting and then water after so that you reduce the risk of shock. Now this is already wet, so it's good and wet actually. Now what I do is I buy these antacid tablets. If you've ever grown tomatoes, you know that sometimes you have some that kind of rot out on the bottom, and they're really gross, really yucky, and you can't eat that. But that is generally either a calcium problem for your tomato plant or a watering problem. So good even watering can reduce that risk. It also reduces the risks of severe cracking in your tomatoes. And I popped 2 of these. See, it's calcium carbonate, 500 milligrams. So I popped 2 of these underneath my tomato plants just to help with that problem. Now, if these were an indeterminate tomato, I'd pop an egg in a hole. Do you remember whenever we were like in school and they would talk about how specifically the Native American people would put fish under their corn plants, not tomato plants, under their corn, and that would feed them? It's the same concept with an egg and a tomato plant. But what we're doing is we're going to dig this hole. Got it dug there. Throw 2 of these in. I don't need the third one. Pop our tomato plant in. Now this is kind of deep for this small tomato. I do plant my taller tomatoes deeper. I like to plant them a little bit deeper. So he's past his where the soil line was before by about 1 inch, but he's a small tomato plant, so we don't want to go much smaller than that. I'm going to finish planting this out, so I'm going to put you right here where you can kind of see what's going on. There we go. When I was a kid, we lived next to the Mississippi River, and like it was right across the levee from us. We were just right there, and that soil was so rich. My dad could plant anything and it would just grow. It didn't take a lot of amending. The groundwater is really fertile. Remember, if you're going to use these, don't take them in and take them later if you've got a bunch of nasty dirt in it. But the ground was really fertile. My dad would plant plants that would just grow and grow and grow and never really touch them. Like, he didn't have to baby them at all. Kind of insane. He always told me I was doing something wrong, probably over babying them because I haven't lived by the Mississippi River. But I finally figured out that I just don't have enough nutrients surrounded by this cropland. It does kind of suck the nutrients out of the ground. They do a lot of spraying for herbicides and to kill things, and sometimes we get drift from that, which is just reality. I don't like it. I've had my entire garden wiped out by the farmers before, actually. I've even had fruit trees wiped out before. But we've got a new farmer that seems to be doing his best to make sure that we don't get sprayed specifically, and our ground has improved. I planted fruit trees a couple of years ago that came back since we've had a new farmer. And another one. So what we're doing again is just putting the tums in the hole to prevent blossom end rot. We're planting the tomato plants. I have to get one more. I'll get it from where I was working just a second ago. Planting the tomato plant. Now this is already really wet from where it rained last night, so I'm not going to come out and water these right now, but if it wasn't really wet I would. And they're all planted right there. Now I've got to make a decision on what to do with these other 2 pools. To rip out the lettuce or not to, because some of it's going to seed, some of it's not. I may just amend around it. I don't know. Lettuce likes shade. Tomatoes produce shade. But thank you for joining me today while we plant tomatoes. I'll see you next time.